Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale. Ohaya gozaimasu, guten Morgen, hola, boyo, privyet, kaifa hal? Hale shubha chature, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho gracias, swabia, bhalli kare aaya. Hosh gal din nayo sayo, khuya mora, chi batto, chi hal jod, kali mera khairutan. And a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning. Alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajra Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajra, assalamu alaikum, kaisi hai aap?
Walaikum assalam. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair for introducing me. And it seems that a lot of people are under the influence of the weather, including Shahzad. And we hope and pray that the things turn out to be better. And especially the fact that we are witnessing and experiencing extremely dry winter, which is becoming, it was an abnormalcy in the past, but it is now becoming a new normal, which is also very scary. But now let's move on to some very interesting news that too early in the morning. And that is, after a 3 decades wait, Pakistan is all set to host its first major international cricket council tournament, the Champions Trophy 2025, from tomorrow. The 8-nation 50-over tournament will be contested from February 19 till March 9th, and the cricket fever is sweeping the nation. The tournament comprises 15 games over 19 days with Pakistan, India, New Zealand and Bangladesh in Group A, and England, South Africa, Australia and Afghanistan in Group B. The tournament opener, Pakistan and New Zealand, will take place on Wednesday in Karachi, with Pakistan eagerly waiting this grand return of the international cricket to its hometown. PTV Sports will telecast the ICC Champions Trophy live. Meanwhile, fans can watch the live reporting, news analysis and commentary on PTV World.
Wow. And Ajay, in addition to this, so we will be dedicating an entire segment on our morning show as well. We will speak about Champions Trophy. So I think it's going to be the best days of my life. Watch cricket, talk cricket. I think that's it. That's all you need to do. But while we are over here and we're speaking about how the 8 teams are actually competing in the ICC Champions Trophy, the England cricket team, ladies and gentlemen, led by captain Josh Buttler, has arrived in Lahore for the ICC Champions Trophy 2025. Wow. The 31-member squad, including the head coach Brendan McCullum and managing director Robert Key, reached Pakistan via Dubai. England will play their group stage matches in Lahore and Karachi, starting with an opener against Australia on February 22nd at Gaddafi Stadium. They will face Afghanistan on February 26th in Lahore and South Africa on March 1st at National Stadium, Karachi. But what about fans? Now imagine that the excitement mounted for Pakistani cricket fans as Pakistan prepares to host its first major multi-country cricket tournament in nearly 30 years. Street cricketers in Karachi and Lahore said they were excited about the tournament being held. The Champions Trophy will be the first major tournament to be held in Pakistan since 1996 and will feature the home side and teams from New Zealand, England, Australia, Afghanistan, South Africa, Bangladesh and India. Cricket fans throughout Pakistan have snatched up Champions Trophy t-shirts as they prepare to watch the tournament. And for everybody who's out there, please, whoever is calling us for tickets, please make sure that you do not call us, because we have no tickets with us and nobody's willing to give us the tickets as well.
Right. And I think the cricket, the fever has always gripped the nation, and it's really, really crazy. But now we will move on to another very interesting news early in the morning, and that is that scientists have developed artificial intelligence that learns without the human labels. Wow. Quite a development. Researchers have developed a groundbreaking artificial intelligence algorithm that identifies patterns without human intervention, known as the TALK clustering, and published in the IEE Transaction on Pattern Analysis and Machine Intelligence. The innovation labels machines to analyze data independently, mimicking the way animals learn from their surroundings, outperforming the traditional artificial intelligence. Experts are of the view that this could revolutionize robotics and autonomous systems, pushing artificial intelligence to the truer independence.
Whoa.
And with that statement, I think there are lots of concerns also that how this development is going to unfold, because now we've seen that, especially in the sci-fi, that there is a dystopian futures where machines have enslaved humans. But whether that will be the case, or these are just the, I would say, the brain output for protecting us from the danger or the threats. But one thing is sure, that we need to learn to live with the artificial intelligence better, because it has become a social fabric of our lives. So in order to unfold the conversation, and I always call artificial intelligence as the multi-agent ecosystem, because of its capacity for the cross-cultural collaboration in the the healthcare, in the education, finance, energy, whatever sector you name it, it has this capacity. But for this segment, we are particularly focusing on the healthcare and how this conversation will unfold, what are the benefits that we can exploit it for our own positive interventions in the artificial intelligence and the healthcare. We are very glad that we have been joined by someone who is particularly focusing and working on the artificial intelligence and the healthcare. She happens to be Dr. LARAIB. UMAR, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sahiban. Thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum Assalam. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's wonderful to have you over here. While we were talking about it, and how impactful artificial intelligence will be, I do believe that Pakistan really needs to be at the forefront of this industrial revolution. Unfortunately, if we don't do this now, I think it's going to cost us quite a lot. But while we are here, I mean, just for a better understanding of our audiences who are out there who might be hearing this topic for the very first time, how do you think artificial intelligence can actually revolutionize healthcare or the way that we see healthcare?
Particularly when we thought about incorporating artificial intelligence in healthcare, we are mixing and getting data from the healthcare sector, and then we use some classification models and some deep learning, machine learning to make them enabled to make some diagnosis, to help planning treatment, and the things like similar to this in the field of medical science, and particularly in drug designing and drug development and in individual precise medication. So there are so many like branches where we can use artificial intelligence in healthcare. So this is the basic concept behind using AI in healthcare, and particularly at the global level and in Pakistan, there are so many things like when we see doctors working in OPD, particularly in the government sectors, there are so many patients, and we always think and we always hear about the gap between we're supplying doctors and the burden of patients in the OPDs and everywhere. So we would have to minimize this gap. So for minimizing this gap, we would have to provide some assistance to the doctors. So we can see and we can say that the AI in healthcare is basically a smart assistant to doctors to develop and to diagnose easy methods to precise diagnosis of different medicines and quick diagnosis of different medicines.
And that is a very interesting discussion, because we've seen that in Pakistan, especially in the rural areas, there is extreme burden of that, and what to talk about the doctors' availability there, they're not present in the first place in lots of areas, right? So whenever we talk about the artificial intelligence in healthcare, so Dr. LARAIB, would you mind telling our audiences what is your specific area on which you're focusing and some of the research trends that you find very fascinating sharing with on our screen? Please go ahead.
Particularly with my interest and with my education, I am basically optometrist and orthoptist. So I started working in the field of healthcare using brain images, neurology and eye. So I love to work AI in eye because eye is the window to our body. We can detect each and every disease. This is our estimation. We can detect each and every disease by using eye. And if we have heard, like previously Google has developed to detect cardiovascular diseases by using eye. So iris and retina of eye basically, and we can say that retina of eye is a window to brain. We can study brain as well by using retina of our eye. So there are so many disorders, neurological disorders that are related to our brain, like Parkinson, Alzheimer's, and so far we don't have any particular treatment for these diseases. The only treatment is to control the symptoms of these diseases, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Exactly.
So if we can detect these diseases at earliest level, so we can design a good and particular treatment for these diseases. And the only way to diagnose the disease is by using images of brain and particularly images of eye.
And we can slow down the entire process as well, where we speak about Alzheimer's and all of these illnesses. But in addition to this, where you actually spoke about how artificial intelligence in days to come will actually tell us that, or there'll be diagnosis and will be assisting doctors. I would want to speak about now. Imagine that there's this researcher and a scientist, who happens to be hailing from United States of America. He's actually designed, and I don't know if it's an X-ray machine or an ultrasound machine. You just need to get a scan done, and it will tell you if there's something wrong in your body. Just a simple scan. So that's how technology is improving. But while we are here at these crossroads of artificial intelligence, getting into healthcare, getting into cars, automation and everywhere, how effective and impactful do you think it will be, number one? And number two, when we are to kind of speak about the diagnosis, do you think that the diagnosis every time will be 100%, or there will still be some margin of error that we need to give to artificial intelligence?
Okay, we can never say that if an AI model is diagnosing some disease that it is diagnosed accurately.
Okay.
So we can use AI model as an assistant to doctors, but we can't say it can replace the doctors.
Okay.
So it would always be below our step behind the doctors. So how impactful there are so many models and so many examples around the world regarding the use of AI in diagnosing and treatment plans.
Yeah.
Right.
So particularly I would like to mention about COVID-19, no one forget about this. So Alibaba making algorithms by using lungs x-rays, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just put
Your
input
X-ray, yeah,
and you get quickly the output, like if it's patient is positive or negative. So and there are so many other examples as well, like Stanford made an model and can detect breast cancer 5 years prior to actually it occur in the body. So this is
The probability of it, right?
exactly.
Yes.
And particularly in Pakistan, there are so many examples in Pakistan as well, but
Right.
there's a lack of particular like strategy and SOPs to standardize it and to make it commercialized.
Right, right. So, Dr. LARAIB, I think we also need to have a very important discussion of whenever we talk about the artificial intelligence, and I think we are having these discussions in a lot of circles whenever we talk about the artificial intelligence, and which relates to the ethics and morality of it, right? So, whenever we talk about the physician and a patient relationship, confidentiality is one of the very essential cornerstone of that, right? So, whenever we talk about the artificial intelligence or capturing that data into the screens or in the digital footprint, that footprint will always remain there, right? So that also means that it can also the essential aspect of the foundation of the confidentiality is at is at a staggers, right? Because that data can be enclosed, right? So how do you feel that the artificial intelligence, that this gap that we are talking about the essential element of the confidentiality that can be protected when we talk in terms of the computing, algorithm, big data, and that too saved on the screens?
Okay, this is a very good point actually, and WHO make 6 principles regarding the ethics of using AI in healthcare, and this is one of them.
Okay.
So particularly using data for AI in healthcare sector, we keep data anonymously. We use all these things. So this is the duty of the maker, the developer, to keep the data safe and secure.
Okay.
If we are taking data from the patients, if we are taking data from anywhere in any field, this is the duty of developer.
Okay.
So by using different challenges and by seeing different challenges that are coming with time, there are so many organizations like I mentioned WHO, they are making some rules regarding the ethics of using AI in healthcare. So by using these rules and by incorporating these rules in our development and in our sectors and daily use, so we can prevent all these things.
Exactly. And in addition to this, I think nobody's actually speaking about it, but imagine that, my data, Hajra's data, or your data is already being used. Nobody's even asked us whether, we're willing to give away our data or not. So I think that's a debate that people really need to have. But in addition to this, while we're speaking about artificial intelligence, and you said that, that the doctors are never going to go away. Obviously I do understand that, but I would want to speak about it. Now imagine that there's this physiology that you will study, there's anatomy that you study, and artificial intelligence already knows all about it. Why do you think that the doctors still will be very relevant? Is it because of that human touch that you really need for any patient to go in and the doctor to decide whether this medication is something that the patient needs to take, or do you think that artificial intelligence in days to come will be as good as doctors?
Okay, particularly the AI models and the user interface we developed to detect these diseases are made by humans.
Yeah.
And these models learn by using a particular data set that we provide them and particular characteristics and features that we incorporate in that model. So they're always
because we did a news just now that without human labels, AI will be able to learn more and more every single day.
Okay, in the field of healthcare, there are so many ways to teach AI models, like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and semi-supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. So, as per my knowledge and as per my practice, we can't use unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning in healthcare. We use supervised learning and sometimes semi-supervised learning.
And things can change though, you know, any day anything can change, right? You know,
So,
probably.
there are so many complicated cases where AI can fail.
Okay.
So, the doctor will analyze by asking different questions, by taking the follow-up history, and by measuring different vitals and something like that, different points, etc., to diagnose that particular complicated case that would not be diagnosed completely by using AI algorithm.
And
So,
right, and that's a very interesting debate, and especially regarding how human intelligence is always supreme to machine intelligence, or machine or artificial intelligence as we label it. So, Dr. LARAIB, now let's move on to another very interesting research topic of yours, and that relates to the contact lens education and clinical training. So, do you mind sharing with our audiences what are some of the new research and trends that you have found in this particular arena?
basically, contact lens under the umbrella of eye, and we have so many domains like low vision contact lens, orthoptic assessment, optometry. I am being optometrist and orthoptist. So, contact lens hold a different domains. So, there are so many associations working on it to spread awareness. The use of contact lens is very complicated. Like if we are incorporating contact lens in our daily wear, so there are so much chances of getting any disease or any infection using contact lens. So, how to use, how to keep them, how to put these contact lenses in your eyes, and these awareness and the particular measures are very essential to convey to the users. So, for these things, I think we should have different platforms, and we have different means or source to convey this information to all the audience. So,
And that's exactly what we are doing over here at PT World. You know, we take pride in it, and very quickly towards the end, you know, because I think that's where we started our conversation, that there needs to be lesser burden on doctors. But I think that to reduce the burden, it shouldn't really be AI. Obviously, is the solution, but the solution is for people not to get sick, you know, very often, you know, so the food quality, everything needs to be better, the air quality
Lifestyle
index,
changes,
the lifestyle changes, everything needs to do better.
here I would like to add something, particularly AI used in healthcare and in research. Like there are so many people who are working on animal rights, and they want to not use animals in clinical trials as well. Like if we are designing a drugs, pharmaceutical companies, they use rats and different animals to test those drugs on them. So, AI is also developing digital twins, so we can use those instead of using animals in future. So many people are working on this, and at some stages they are using digital twins as well. So, it will not only help in managing clinical trials, other than they are also be used to do personalized treatment as well. Like if there are two people, both of them have an infection, so we can't prescribe both of them a 500 mg antibiotic. There are chances one person will require 250 mg of antibiotic. So, personalized treatment is necessary, and the other thing is to use simulation based digital twins instead of using animals in clinical trials. So, this is a breakthrough as well.
I think 3D printers are one of the biggest things that are being worked on, and with their development, I think we are going to see how it is revolutionizes the healthcare. Thank you so much, Dr. LARAIB, for coming here, for shedding light on the very essential aspect and the merger of two very important fields, healthcare and artificial intelligence. And now we will move on to another very top news, and that is we also make sure at PTV World that we remember our heroes. So we are observing the death anniversary of the film actor Agha Talish. He was born in 1926 in Ludhiana. Agha Talish was known for his iconic roles in films like Shaheed, Umrao Jaan, and Zenith. His performances in Saat Lakh, Jheel Kinare and Farangi also left a lasting impact. The actor starred in over 440 films during his career and was awarded the Pride of Performance. Agha Talish passed away on February 1998 in Lahore.
May his soul rest in peace and patience for the bereaved as well, which actually brings me to this point, Hajra. How many Pakistani films do you remember that you have watched growing up?
Growing up, that's a very good question because I can't remember anyone. But when I was into my teenage and when the
and dramas were good, right?
Dramas were good, but when the revival of the cinema started, then I am a very fervent cinema goer, and I do go and I do see movies. So I've seen plenty of Pakistani films. I can't even recall the names because of my shrink attention span. That is not the problem of the cinema. That is my own problem. But I do remember that the comedy genre was very enticing and fascinating me, and it captivated me towards.
So I think a few films which I can remember is Chudiyan. I think Chudiyan everybody remembers. Then the remake of Maula Jat, I think, remember. You know, Karachi se Lahore.
Lahore se aage, these sequels I've seen that. And I think there was this one movie. It was regarding the cricket and the Humayun Saeed.
That
was classic. I really enjoyed the comedy.
I think some good movies that Pakistan has actually produced, and even good dramas. I think growing up, Anak Wala Jain, 50-50, Janjal Pura. You know, I don't know if you remember or what other.
Right. I think there are plenty of dramas that we've grown up, and it's not just that the dramas that we've seen it watching, but it was also the parents' time that we have seen it watching, because there were a constant Alf Abda, Charlie, Sunehre Din, all of these dramas. Exactly. And I do remember that on the particular days, for example, on 23rd March, they would broadcast specific dramas to that specific theme. So that was a very essential aspect of that.
Exactly, which is why now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring you to another crossroad where Cambridge scientists turn pollution into fuel in climate breakthrough. Wonderful. Researchers at the University of Cambridge have created a solar-powered reactor that captures atmospheric CO2 and converts it into syngas, a sustainable fuel alternative for cars and planes inspired by photosynthesis. The reactor operates without cables or batteries and offers a cleaner alternative to traditional carbon capture and storage technologies, which is costly and energy intensive. Scientists say this innovation could help combat climate change by both reducing CO2 levels and producing clean fuel. Wow, that's just great.
Interesting, and I think just to add to another interesting bits of pieces from the news segment, that is that tourists were told to wipe their shoes before visiting world's clearest lake. So New Zealand is home to world's clearest lake located in the Nelson Lakes National Park. The blue-violet lake boasts visibility of up to 80 meters and has attracted tourists because of its exceptional purity. The lake is sacred to the Nagai Apa tribe and was historically used for the spiritual cleansing. However, conservationists warn that increasing number of visitors may threaten the lake's pristine clarity and can get contaminated, particularly from Lakes Not Elda spreading from the nearby lakes.
Wow.
That is very interesting development, and I think New Zealand and Canada are home to one of the finest lakes in the world, and the clarity which they hold. And I think I would like to give the due credit to Pakistan also in terms of the Balochistan, that how we have particularly seen in Balochistan that they are one of the finest and purest and clearest lakes. But now we will move forward into our segment, and we, like in PTV, always celebrate our heroes, especially the unsung heroes who are not lend the voice that they deserve, particularly because of their essence and their presence. And one of the hero who actually brought a very good name to Pakistan, and especially there was a BIENNALE that was held in Saudi Arabia, and it was named as the Welcome back, and before going on to the break, I was alluded to the sort of conversation that we want to develop in this segment, and that is that a Pakistani artist in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia has unveiled between the sacred cities the largest installation at the Islamic Arts Biennale 2025. And in order to unfold this conversation, we are very glad that we have been joined by one of the very big names in the fraternity of the artist community, and he happens to be Imran Qureshi. Assalamu alaikum, Imran, and thank you so much for joining us.
Walaikum salam. Thanks for inviting me.
Assalamu alaikum, Imran bhai. Thank you so much. You know, we go way back, and I thought that I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and apologize for what I commented on Instagram as well. But thank you so much. You're one of those amazing people who's been conferred with Sitara Imtiaz, alhamdulillah, one of the highest civilian awards in the country. You've represented Pakistan probably all over the globe. There's 130 places which are exhibiting your art pieces. So thank you so much for taking our time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Right. So Imran, it has been a quite a successful event, and especially your artistry was the shining element of that entire biennale. Please tell us about what sort of platform was that, how did you conceive that idea between the sacred cities, and what was your art piece about?
So I will give you a little bit idea about my previous practice, what I was doing, and how the medium shifted to a new medium in for this Islamic art biennial. So I was trained as a miniature painter. Then my practice goes in diverse direction, like I do painting, installations, site-specific painting, and performance videos, photography sometime, which is a very new medium in my art practice. But this is something where I was looking at the traditional craft of Pakistan, of this region. We have this very big tradition of making charpai with the nylon threads or other threads. So I decided to, I was just thinking that how these traditions and these heritage and these folk art can make their space in this age of AI and digital development and technology. So I used the medium of charpai or this bed weaving thing, which is very traditional and local, and I try to uh, create my artwork through this traditional art form. So it's a huge installation and quite ambitious and very challenging in terms of its fabrication and craftsmanship as well. So this biennial is happening, which is called Islamic Art Biennale in Jeddah, and this is the second biennial, and it is happening at the Hajj terminal, the former Hajj terminal, which is now converted into a art and cultural district. So the whole biennial is happening at this venue, at one venue, and there are two pavilions. When I went a year ago to visit the site, so they showed me every space that they asked me, where do you want to work and what do you want to do. So they told me about two pavilions, which is called Mecca Pavilion and Medina Pavilion, and their plan was to exhibit some of very historic and religious and very some objects from Mecca in Mecca Pavilion, and objects and historic artifacts from Medina in Medina Pavilion. So I was thinking as a traveling between two cities by Hajis, and I decided to create a oasis-like space between two sacred cities. And this is a place where people can come, they can rest, they can spend time, and they can share a common space, and then move to
See that oasis holds a very spiritual significance in the Muslim imagination, and especially when we talk about arts and culture, and not in arts and culture, but generally in the intellectual history of the Muslim imagination. So why did you specifically chose to focus on the oasis? And because the first thing that comes whenever into my mind is the oasis is the place where the message of the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam rose and it spread to the entire world, and especially the date palms, because there was also a prophecy that a prophet will be rising from the land of the khajur ki, the palm trees of, or the khajur ki zameenon se, khajur ke taraf ki zameenon se, something like that. So please explain the significance of that oasis.
So the idea was that with my all site specific installation, I always try to make a strong connection with the architectural space, or wherever I'm working, there should be some significance of using that space and bringing my artwork in that space. So uh, the idea of Oasis was that everything was very dry, and I wanted to do something which the local people can relate with, and even all the visitors who are coming to see this exhibition, they should have some connection. And I feel that beauty of my art practice is that everyone can have their own narrative, their own connection with my art or whatever I'm seeing. That is one thing, but then people can have multiple ways of looking that artwork, and I like that kind of dialogue always in my work. So that whole is So this Biennale is happening in a very dry space, which is all covered with sand, and then bringing this colorful, bright color installation weave together in that specific site I was feeling like it's kind of oasis. So what I did, I created a char bagh between these Mecca and Medina pavilion. The idea was that it's a char bagh. So I took the element of Zamzam water from Mecca, and I took the green and peacefulness of Medina. So I combined these two elements together to create this oasis-like image within these two sacred cities.
And it's great. I think one of these installations will actually make you feel like as if you're a part of the art yourself. So while you're traveling, you go there, you experience it firsthand. It's more tangible for people to kind of experience it. But Imran bhai, now there's another question. As an artist, obviously you have achieved so well, so much. You started off with miniature painting at NCA, and then you've kind of moved on with installations and different sorts of paintings, and probably designing PSL jerseys and whatnot. How do you think your journey as an artist has been over here in the country Pakistan, number one? And in terms of recognition, do you think that there's more recognition in the outer space outside Pakistan than over here in Pakistan?
I don't know. For me, the most important thing is my work. So it doesn't matter if I am exhibiting it outside Pakistan or within in Pakistan. It's actually I'm more excited when I'm showing my work in Pakistan to my own people, from where I started off my career. Uh, than showing abroad. So every place has its own audiences, and the work has that ability that it's engaged local audiences. And I love that idea. So in Pakistan also, I think it's changing. The things are changing very fast. Even on government level, there's the appreciation for art. It's increasing, and it started off. If you see, lot of new endeavors has been taking place even in Lahore. There's a Lahore Biennale in Karachi. There's a Karachi Biennial, and then there's a new museum called the Barracks Art Museum, which just started 1 year ago with my solo exhibition. So these are very exciting things, and the Barracks
Right,
is.
right.
Uh,
Imran, one last question before we wrap up this segment, and unfortunately we're really, really short on time, and we want to squeeze as much information from you as we can. So so far, what was the reaction of the audiences? How was your art perceived there? And tell us about the receptivity of the people from Islamic Arts Biennial.
So the reaction or response were very amazing. First thing that this was very new medium in my art practice, so it was very shocking or something very exciting for audience to see something very new from my art practice in this biennial. And then it's very interactive artwork where people can come, they can walk on it, they can sleep on it, they can sit on it, they can enjoy the space. So there were people or audiences or visitors from all age groups, and they were enjoying equally this space which I created for the audience.
Wow.
Right, and thank you so much, Imran, for being here, for talking about your very successful art exhibition at the Islamic Arts Exhibition Biennial 2025. And we hope and pray that your arts keep on shining, because arts is one through such medium which brings a very soft image and a fame to particularly not the artist but the representation of his entire community, of his entire nation.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And now we are going to move forward towards our new segment, which will unfold the conversation on the misinformation and disinformation. And these are the words, and I think sometimes they're also the misnomers, because a lot of things are wrapped onto it. So how to unfold this conversation? We are very glad that we have been joined by two young students who are going to talk about their research and what interesting bits they have to share about the misinformation and disinformation.
So we're very lucky that we've been joined by Miss Maha ZULFIQAR. Assalamu alaikum, Maha. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. And Miss ALIA ZAHOOR Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. So let's get started. Why in the first place would you think about that you really need to sort the issue of misinformation and disinformation?
So basically, I think misinformation is it has its claws so deep rooted into our society that without misinformation, we don't really know what is which, you know.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, with misinformation, we have been misguided, right?
Yes.
Right. So in Pakistani society, we've been very much affected by the issue of misinformation. You know, even the polio vaccination drive has been affected by this, and 2 million children were not vaccinated because of misinformation, and people just don't know what to believe here. So we thought maybe we should teach young people how to, you know, fact check information and how not to be affected by this.
Right. How do you fact check information? Because it is a subject that is being lot talk about, and I think there have been lots of new developments in order to identify that. But still, I do feel that these fact checking people do not get hold of it, and they often fall prey to that misinformation or disinformation.
You know, first of all, when you're viewing information, you need to keep your antennas up. You need to critically evaluate it and not just blindly trust anything, right? We were interviewing a journalist yesterday, and he told us this quote: "Trust but verify." Right? So of course you're going to go to credible news sources and you're going to see this, but you're also going to hold them accountable if they're ever saying anything that's not true.
And I believe that that's exactly the problem. See, I happen to know a lot of journalists. They are my friends. I'm really sorry to say that, but most of the time with their YouTube channels, they do kind of, you know, say stuff which is not really true. But while we are at it, you know, you actually came up with a project of yours, and that is ZAMEEN and ASMAN. And you know, Zameen se leke Asman, why do you know, first of all, you picked up this name, and how do you think that with this project you will be able to curtail the menace of misinformation and disinformation?
So basically why we chose the name was that, you know, they're saying that Zameen or Asman ka सच और झूठ में ज़मीन और आसमान का फ़र्क है. So
the objective was really just to choose an attractive, you know, kind of name for our Instagram Instagram account, so that people could kind of be intrigued, right? Because we were trying to choose a name that teenagers would be intrigued to, right? So
I don't know if it's Zameen and Asman though. You know, so you are teenagers. Please let us know if that's the name.
Yeah, Zameen or Asman, yes. So what we've done right now is we've held seminars, and we've gone to classes. We've told teenagers, Asha, you use social media, this is how you can fact check exactly. And we've invited journalists, lawyers, and they've shared with us their perspectives. As a journalist, we know this is how you can fact check. This is not just getting information from credible news sources, but also reading the article, seeing if the facts add up and everything.
Right. And so far, how has been the audience response to your commitment towards the misinformation, disinformation? Because I do feel that a lot of people are, you know, generally consuming them social media without fact checking, and that's a source of concern, right?
It's been very good, because everyone that we've encountered, their response was, oh, thankfully someone is telling us how to fact check, because we never know what to believe. We're seeing so many different, you know, everybody's posting stories about this is happening and this is happening, but how do we know if it's even true?
So how do you, you know, so I'm going to move on to Maha now. So Maha, how do you, you know, distribute responsibilities? Because it's a huge responsibility now that you've taken up. It's an everyday job. You have to look for facts every single day. There's a lot of research going on. So how do you divide your work burden?
We have a group of 5 members, and we talk about it amongst ourselves. When a person's like free and doesn't have any commitment, they can take up the job.
I think it's great. And you know, so obviously, you know, in a group of 5 people, not everybody is going to be as effective and impactful as you know the way the groups were in our university times as well. So I think it's
plenty
it's
of
a
free
little
riders,
difficult. But in addition to this, what's the kind of stories that you would always pick up to kind of rectify? And did that actually happen to you, that a journalist might call you and be like, hey, you know what, you tried correcting my story, you know, now you better watch yourself, or something of that sort? Do you get those challenges?
No, we've not actually tried correcting specific stories. We've just taught people how to do it themselves. So we're not.
हम नहीं करके बता रहे, आप खुद कर लें.
And what are the tools that you are using for this fact checking and identifying misinformation, disinformation?
So again, we're not fact checking ourselves. We're trying to teach people how to fact check themselves. So it's basically just doing your own research and not having, and trying to recognize your own biases and trying to kind of combat that.
Right. But again, whenever we talk about the fact checking, misinformation, disinformation, when you are teaching or empowering people out there, or younger generation, Gen Z, millennials, whoever you're targeting, there must be some specific methods that you are teaching, right? So I would want you to highlight what are that some specific methods that
we used to teach them how to fact check. Right. So we kind of made a presentation, and we held a seminar for them, and I tried to explain it in a very Gen Z kind
Sure,
of way,
sure,
so
sure.
they would understand it.
Or
right?
Gen Alpha too. Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, they are babies now. Yeah, but I think that is a source of
Yeah.
concern. But okay, so I think that that's a very interesting sort of the project. And so far, what are your future plans for this project? Do you wish to convert it into something bigger, and what do you aspire to be?
Or incorporate artificial
For sure.
intelligence
Like I
into
told
it.
you, we have a social media account where we're definitely going to be promoting that more. And after we're done with our project, we're going to be putting all of our findings into it, because we know so many teenagers who are on social media, and then we hope to inform them and people we've actually not interacted with as well, because you know the online, the digital landscape is just getting bigger. and bigger.
Exactly. But thank you so much, Ali and Maha, for being with us. That's
Thank you
a
so much.
wonderful
Thank you
job
so
that you
much.
guys have picked up on, educating. In fact, letting people know how to do fact checking. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you check out their page on Instagram, which goes with the name of ZAMEEN and AASMAN. And for everybody who's out there, if you have any suggestion, feedback, recommendation, or even criticism, please make sure that you write to us on worldthismorning@ptv.com.pk. worldthismorning@ptv.com.pk, and we will certainly make sure that we try to make all of those changes which you would like to be to happen for our show as well. So until next time, look after yourselves, stay great, and hydrate yourself. And yeah, make sure that you kind of look after your health, because that's something which is really important. Thank you so much, Hajra, for being a wonderful colleague.
Thank you
Everybody
so
out there, have a great day. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.